Welcome to Build Your Difference, a podcast designed to help visionary people like you build distinguished brands that inspire and engage a growing audience. Hello, I'm Jim Dennison. This month we're excited to announce our new DevCast, which we're calling Build Your Difference. Our new show format allows us to engage more deeply with you. We'll introduce inspiring and compelling stories of Blue Artist clients.
And I'm Desiree Moody. We'll continue to offer educational resources to help you build a better business and brand. Each month's DevCast will include 3 segments: client news, a feature story, and a message from one of our producers.
Let's get started with our client news segment. This month's DevCast features 4 clients who recently utilized our public relations services to announce how their brands are making a difference on the local level and across the country. The following are excerpts from press releases authored and distributed by Blue Artist on behalf of our clients.
Chesapeake Home Healthcare in Lanham, Maryland specializes in coupling innovation with community-based services to meet the specific needs of medically fragile or special needs children and nursing-dependent adults. To increase their brand awareness, children and adults were invited to dress in costume for their annual Fall Festival Open House, held in conjunction with Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Wear Pink Day. Chesapeake Home Healthcare is a woman-owned, women-staffed facility with the expertise to address female issues and discuss them with the festival attendees. Registered nurses were available to discuss breast cancer health screening. Pink ribbons were distributed and all attendees 18 years of age and older received a pocket guide on what everyone should know about breast cancer. Our goal is not only to provide health education and resources to our clients, but to the community at large, said Erica Paul, Chesapeake Home Healthcare Co-Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer. This type of outreach can make significant difference in ensuring that members of the community are aware and taking the necessary steps to ensure optimal health. This is the 4th year that Chesapeake Home Healthcare has hosted a Breast Cancer Awareness Month event. We appreciate the receptiveness of the members of the community to the information provided, as well as the support from our neighboring businesses, Harley said.
Also in the news, Parents as Tutors, LLC recently took their brand's mission to help parents partner with teachers to increase students' reading proficiency to 2 conferences across the country. Parents as Tutors provides parents with the knowledge, skills, and resources necessary to engage in student learning through parental reading workshops, a series of books, and various other resources designed to help parents understand reading components and instructional strategies for helping children increase their reading level. Based in Clinton, Maryland, the conferences allowed Parents as Tutors to increase their brand awareness by introducing their products and services to an engaged audience of parents and educators. The first conference they attended was the Parents as Teachers Conference in St. Louis, where they presented a hands-on workshop titled Kindergarten Readiness: From Learning to Read to Reading to Learn. Parents as Tutors was also an exhibitor at the National Conference on After-School and Summer Learning, co-hosted by the National Summer Learning Association and Schools Out Washington in Seattle. Titled Dare to Disrupt: The Pathway to Excellence and Equity in Education, the conference explored partnerships, policies, and programs with non-traditional ideas on when and where learning occurs. We're delighted to participate in these conferences to help empower parents as they take an active role in their child's reading education, said Andrea Thompson, Parents as Tutors Chief Executive Officer.
Our next client utilized our public relations services to announce the release of his new book and his plans to donate a portion of the book's proceeds to charity. Featuring raw, honest accounts of personal hardships, an Indianapolis author hopes the release of his new book will help others find the light at the end of their own tunnels. In Giving Up Is Not an Option, author Charles Moorer shares his family's inspirational story of how, even on the verge of losing everything, they kept their faith and pushed through the difficult circumstances in their life. My hope is that readers will be inspired and encouraged to stand firm through the storms that life may unexpectedly bring their way, realizing there is still comfort in holding on to their faith in our Heavenly Father, Maurer said. Maurer is a dedicated father, husband, pastor, musician, and leadership mentor, currently based in Indianapolis. Together with his band, The Faithful Few, he works diligently and faithfully to inspire people from all walks of life to live with purpose, love, and the peace of Christ. A book signing is planned in early 2017 during a benefit concert for the Indiana Make-A-Wish Foundation. Maurer and his family received support from the Indiana Make-A-Wish Foundation when his then 16-year-old son Chadwin was battling renal sickle cell carcinoma, a form of cancer that gave him a 10% survival rate. The wish the foundation provided turned into a celebration of life when Chadwin was miraculously healed. A few years later, Maurer himself was healed of cancer. My goal is to use a portion of the proceeds to assist the Indiana Make-A-Wish Foundation with their goal of continuing to be a blessing to children and their families during the trying times they are facing. I am very thankful, grateful, and humbled to use what talent and skills my Heavenly Father has given me to assist them, Maurer said.
Last but certainly not least, an award-winning vocalist duo prepares to take to the stage to showcase their brand. Vocalist duo Bernadette and Winston Charles will be in concert at the 38th Annual Festival of Lights on December 15th at the Washington, D.C. Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Although both classically trained singers, the duo performs a wide range of musical genres. Throughout their 20 years of music and ministry, they've received various merits and awards, including first place in the National Talent America Award in New York in 2003. Their latest studio album, Take My Life, was released earlier this year and features 10 spiritual tracks, including the hit single, Dry Their Tears. We are pleased to have the opportunity to return and praise our Lord Jesus as part of this year's Festival of Lights, Bernadette Charles said.
We'd like to congratulate each of these clients who are working to increase their brand awareness by hosting and participating in events that provide the opportunity to show how their brands really do make a difference.
If you have an event coming up or an announcement to make about your products or services that would benefit from our public relations services, contact us through your DevLab account. We're happy to help you build your difference.
For our new feature segment, we're pleased to introduce William Jones, a historian, self-described comic book geek, educator, and author. He is the founder of Afrofuturism Network and recently published his first book, The Ex-Con, Voodoo Priest, Goddess, and the African King. Mr. Jones speaks publicly on the subjects of the history of Black people in America and the image of Black people in various forms of media, pop culture, and hip-hop music.
Let's welcome Blue Artist representative Sarah Miller and William Jones to the show to discuss his successful Afrofuturism brand and how his participation in 2 recent events helped increase his brand awareness.
This is Sarah Miller, and today I'm speaking with William Jones. He's the founder of the Afrofuturism Network. Welcome to the DevCast, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So to start, can you tell me a little about your brand, the Afrofuturism Network?
Yes. Well, basically, in terms of, and in talking about it, just kind of talk about the origin of it. I'm a history teacher by trade, historian by trade, but I'm also a lover of all things geek, and so I love comic books and so on and so forth. So this was a way for me to bring the two together. And what I realized is my interest in terms of history has always lied with the African experience here in America and around the world. And what I realized was that there was an actual school of thought. There was actually a genre that was dedicated to looking at the Black experience through science fiction, fantasy, comic books, and so forth. So that's where I found like, hey, I fit right into that. Mm-hmm. So I decided to just pursue that. And I found that there were many people that had a shared interest, and then I decided that I could find my way in this realm as a researcher and also helping to promote other Black artists and Black creators. Because one of the things that I find that's lacking is, as much as now people start to celebrate seeing more Blacks in comic books, seeing more Blacks in films based on comics and so forth, I left out, or who is being left out, are those black creators that have been doing it since the beginning, and they didn't need to be convinced to add more black characters. They didn't need to be convinced to show an honest portrayal of black life and so forth through the lens of science fiction and comic books. So I really wanted to highlight those creators.
Excellent. And so, what are some of the ways that you do that then?
Okay, well, one of the ways that I've done it is on the website, afrofuturismnet.com. What I've done is artists are sending in samples of their work. So there is an actual gallery on the website where folks can view various artists and their work and so forth. And if you're interested in it, there's bio information, how you can reach them, how you can contact them. So that's one way I've gone about trying to promote them. And another thing that we've done is just this past year we held our first comic book convention. And the focus was primarily on black comic book creators and their characters.
Excellent. And was that a pretty good success?
Yes, what I really enjoyed about it was the experience of having so much black creativity under one roof and to see people come out and be able to appreciate these artists. One of the things that in terms of the feedback that I got was just the overall professionalism of the event. People really enjoyed it. We also had presenters. We had people that were sharing information as related to creativity, as related to art. We had an actor come out who shared some of his work, and a lot of it lied in the realm of science fiction, horror, and so forth. We had presentations that showed the origins or African origins of many of the signs and symbols that you see in animated films. So we had a wide variety of presenters. So I guess I just saw it as an overall success. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback, and people are looking forward to next year for the next event.
It does sound great. So, and you do plan to put it on then again in the future?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Wonderful. One of the ways that you've worked to build your brand is by participating in events like the conference that you just talked about. And Blue Artists recently authored a press release for you to help spread the word about your participation in 2 events. There's the Black Speculative Arts Movement annual Afrofuturism Black Comics and Arts Convention. And then you also did a workshop on how to develop stories in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Can you tell me a little about how you were able to make your brand stand out, particularly at the convention, since that was a large-scale event?
Yeah, sure. Well, like you said, there were 2 things that had happened. And a few weeks ago, I was invited to participate in an event with another writers group, and they deal with speculative fiction and diversity within that realm. And basically, they asked me to come out to speak to the representation of black characters in comic book films. So that gave me an opportunity to talk about that and also promote my book. So it was a great experience there. And similar to the event that I had given, you had this, once again, you had this event where you had so many creative minds coming together. There were workshops on how to create worlds, workshops on how to build characters, workshops specifically on building villains, for example. So the participants, the people that came out, this was an opportunity to learn, to network, to meet other folks, to help you kind of grow your passion, feed your passion, if you will. So that was that event. And just this past weekend, I was in Philadelphia at Temple University, where they had the Black Speculative event, where we were looking at, once again, black creativity in the realm of fiction, comic books. And you had a lot of comic book vendors, you had a lot of science fiction writers, and once again, I was there selling my book, and it was just a great event to see so many people come out and support it. Because one thing that a lot of people don't realize is there's a strong population in the fandom that wants to see black characters, that want to see more examples of black life being depicted in science fiction and fantasy and in comic book mediums. And this is not just black people that are showing up to these events. You also are seeing people of different backgrounds that are coming out, and I think that speaks to how people feel that this is really lacking in films and books and so forth.
So, and they're definitely all inclusive then.
Right, definitely. that's what I'm highlighting. That's what I'm targeting.
And what type of feedback then did you get from those two events, from either the organizers and or the attendees?
Well, I presented the presentation I did at the library. It was in Silver Spring. It was well received, and the video also was posted on social media. And I just received a lot of feedback as to where some of the things that I was pointing out, some of the analysis that I had made. Many people were saying they hadn't seen it that way before, that they had seen some of the films that I had referenced many times, but there were certain things that they missed. So they really just appreciated the fact that I kind of brought a different perspective to these films that they were already familiar with and these characters that they were already familiar with. And for me, the most important thing is I always tell people, it's not about agreeing with me, it's just open up to other possibilities and be aware that there are other perspectives and just give you something to think about. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that I got back when people just saying, this gave me a lot to think about. And that's what I really appreciated as far as the response that I got from the presentation. And as far as the event in Temple, one thing that I was pleased about was I was selling my book, but at the same time, I had people that had already purchased it coming up to me. And it was kind of weird because I'm still getting used to this, but people were asking me, could I sign their book? And I had two students from Temple University that had purchased the book, and they were using it for their research.
Excellent.
And I also had a professor that did not know I was going to be there, and she had a copy on her. And she asked, could I sign it? So when I started to see that, that was something that was a great experience, but very humbling for me to go through that, to know that other people are appreciating what you're putting out there. It's just something that is overwhelming.
That's great to hear as well. So you've mentioned your book a couple times. Can you tell us the title and just give us a brief overview of the book?
Yes. The book title is The Ex-Con, The Voodoo Priest, Goddess, and the African King. And it's a social, political, and cultural analysis of 4 black superheroes. And basically what the book is it presents an overall view or an overall history of blacks in comics and comic strips going all the way back to 1895. And it just kind of traces their development to contemporary times. But the main focus on the 4 black characters, and that is Luke Cage, Papa Midnight, Storm, and the Black Panther. And basically what I wanted to look at is their depiction in the comics, and also look at some of the themes that are touched on in these comic books, and whether or not there's more to the story, whether there's more history there, symbolism. Is there a difference when you have a black author as opposed to a white author writing the same character? So those are all of the things that I began to examine and analyze. So for example, with Luke Cage, one of the things that struck me, and if anyone is familiar, if you're familiar with the character, he is the individual that gains superpowers because he's experimented on while he's incarcerated. So one of the things that I decided to look at was the history of not only black males being incarcerated, but also looking at the real history of experimentation on black men that have been incarcerated. So I found a whole bunch of information just on the history of black experimentation, or I should say experimentation on blacks that were in prison. And I found that, whether the original creators realized it or not, they had actually began to touch upon and stumble upon something that was actually based on the true experience of some black folk in the United States.
So you've pulled kind of your geek love of comics and your background and love of history together into this book. And it sounds like a great read, and it is available on your website, is that correct?
That is correct. It's available on the website. Once again, that is afrofuturismnet.com, but you can also find it on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles as well, websites.
Excellent. Great to hear. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for today.
Well, thank you so much.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And as always, thank you for choosing Blue Artists to help you build your difference. And it certainly sounds like, from the feedback that you got from the recent events and the folks there that you met that had already read your book, that you are definitely making a difference.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
What a wonderful brand story. It's inspiring to hear our clients truly are making a difference in their respective communities. We'd like to once again thank William Jones for speaking with us during our new feature segment.
Our clients often contact us with questions about how to increase their brand awareness. One such question we recently received was submitted by Amy via email. Amy asks, I believe I've established a sound brand, but I'm ready to try something new and stretch my boundaries. How can Blue Artists assist me with this stage of my brand's development? To answer this question, let's welcome producer Pierre Walters to the show.
Wow, Amy, that is a really good question. Trying something new, stretching your boundaries, that is, I think, the mark of a good leader. What it implies is that you are at a point in your brand journey where you are willing to now step outside of your comfort zone and embrace something new to expand your audience. And I think that is a really commendable thing. So, what we have to do now is we have to look at, well, what is the brand that you've already established and who is the market that you've already tapped? And then from there, what is a better way or what is a more engaging way to take that to the next level? So, it sounds like with what you've established that you have a good website, you have a solid product that you're offering or a solid service, and you're engaging regularly with your customers. Well, let's take that now to the next level. Are your customers able to provide feedback? Are they able to engage with you on social media? Do you have a social media presence? These are ways that Blue Artists can help. With our membership program, we do offer a social media content marketing service for every membership tier. And what that does is it frees you up. It frees you up in terms of making sure that every single day, new content is being curated from across the internet and being published or posted through your Twitter account. And what that does is it helps to establish your social media presence through Twitter as a resource, something that your audience can really rely on as a constant source of new and interesting information. Now, from there, my next question would be, okay, so we've got an engaging web presence, an engaging social media content marketing presence, but what are we doing to really inform the public that we even exist in the first place? Public relations and marketing are two sides of the same coin. Public relations informs and marketing persuades. So it's one thing to be persuaded, but if you don't understand or if you don't know who it is that you're being persuaded by or towards, then it makes it difficult to really feel like you're making a sound decision. For example, it's one thing for me to say, hey, listen, go out there and buy my product because it's going to really make a difference. And you might say, okay, well, let me, I'll consider buying your product. But if you know who I am already, if you already have a pre-existing understanding and hopefully a pre-existing respect for who I am and what my brand is, then that's going to make my message that much more powerful. So for example, if your clients, if your customers already know about you because they've read about you in the paper, they've seen you on television news, they have been exposed to content that you have created or objective content from other sources that's speaking favorably about you and your services. Well, then when you show up and when you say, you know what? Hi, it's nice to meet you. And they go, you know what? It is nice to meet you too. I've heard so much about you. And you say, well, thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. What I wanted to do was recommend my product or service to you. That customer, that client is more likely to say, you know what? Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I've read a lot about you. I really enjoy the content that you've already been pushed out. It's been very valuable to me. Absolutely, I'd love to give your product a try. That is a totally different and much more powerful way to engage and to sell. So I would ask you, in taking your brand now to the next level and stepping outside of your comfort zone, what are you doing through public relations to inform your audience, to inform your customer base about who you are. It's good to do marketing. It's good to say, hey, I've got an established brand. I'm pushing marketing that's persuading people. But what are we doing to actually inform potential customers that you even exist in the first place? And that's another area where we can help. We can create press releases. We can create stories. We can create blog content. We can even syndicate articles. So if there's an article that you've written on your blog and you really want to expand that to the widest possible audience, we can syndicate that for you so that other websites are writing about the content that is on your website, about your blog. And that's really going to position you in a very powerful place where people are now seeing you not just as a resource, but as a resource that even other entities are looking toward, that even other entities are quoting. To be a resource's resource is a very powerful thing. And so to recap, we've got public relations, we've got marketing. We'll help you through social media content marketing. I really think that if you consider these as a logical next step to expand your brand and step into a place where you might not be totally comfortable, I think you're going to really like the results. So that would be the answer to my question, Amy. If you want to respond and let us know more about what you've already established, so that we can really build off that, I would be absolutely delighted to continue this conversation with you and to really help you to find a way to expand and continue to build your difference. Thanks a lot for the question.
You are building an incredible brand. We're grateful to be your creative agency. Until next time, keep growing, keep striving, and keep building your difference.